Run. Well, welcome everybody to episode 3 of On the Run. And you've got a very boring background this week, I'm afraid. And there's a light directly above me. It's not a great place for recording, but it'll have to do because I'm on the run. So we have to make do with what we've got. And this week, I thought I would just go through the main stories of the last week and have a little bit of commentary on that, and maybe a few honourable mentions as well. Now, as you hear this, I will be in Melbourne Airport, just about to hop on a plane and fly to Manila. Yes, on Friday, the day that this is published, I am flying up to Manila. I can't wait to get there. For, of course, the Power 50 and various other things in Manila as well. So let's get into it. So on Friday, our lead story was that Macau industry debt was now at US $24 billion, according to Morgan Stanley. 24 billion, wow, that's a lot of money. I mean, how much are the casinos worth? What percentage of that worth is $24 billion? Well, let's do some quick sums. There's sort of 16 properties in Macau that could arguably be called an integrated resort. I think their average historic cost ranges between 1 and 5 billion. Probably the weighted average is maybe 2.5. 16 times 2.5, last time I checked, was 40 billion. So maybe Macau is worth about 40 billion. Maybe throw a little bit more in there for the odd satellite and so forth. 40 to 45 billion. Now, 24 billion, let's call it 25, is more than half. So it's starting to get up there as far as a banker is concerned in terms of various finance ratios and that sort of thing. But 40 to 45 billion is merely the historic cost. What would they be valued at now? Well, it depends how you value them. If you value them on replacement cost, they could be worth almost double. I mean, with supply chain issues and inflation, increased cost of construction, it might cost 70, 80 billion dollars to build those properties today. But the finance world, the finance and investment community doesn't look at it like that. They look at it based upon free cash flow and how much EBITDA is, or even just profit is, or are those properties throwing off? And at the moment, they're throwing off losses. So in theory, they're worth zero, but of course, it's not exactly like that. But, you know, they could be worth a lot less than even 24 billion, arguably. So, yeah, something to watch. And wow, the debt level is getting scary. I think it's going to get harder and harder to finance, and financing is going to be at a higher and higher cost. And we're already seeing two of the concessionaires have to borrow from themselves in a kind of a way, borrow from their parent companies. So watch this space. On Monday, we had a story about the move to digital currencies as legal tender. Macau's allowing that, and will that affect the gaming industry? Who knows? But if it does, I think it'll be a net negative for the gaming industry because of course all the money will be traceable. Could arguably be a net positive very, very long term, because then the government, the central government might relax a little bit on its oversight of Macau if it knew it could track every dollar. So that's something to watch. Tuesday's lead story on IAG was that VIP Baccarat is down to 20.8% of a total GGR in the third quarter. My response to that is, wow, that much, 20.8%, that's a lot. I didn't even think it would be that high. And of course, this is not really junket revenue as such. This is rolling commission stuff. And look, I think we all know that VIP is well and truly on the way out, whether you like it or not. Wednesday's lead story in IAG was very interesting. We had pictures of Mr. Kazuo Okada being arrested. Yes, he flew from Haneda Airport in Tokyo to the exact place I'm flying to tomorrow in Narita. I hope I'm not arrested when I land. And he was arrested on landing and posted bail, and I believe is now out on bail. But it was interesting to get pictures of a billionaire holding up the sign and doing these ones. So, you know, it just goes to show that Takada really, really wants his property and what he perceives as his property. Who would have thought that a billionaire in his 80s, I think he's in his 80s, would be so worried about that and not enjoying life. But anyway, it is what it is. So we'll watch this space. And Thursday's lead story in IAG was Las Vegas Sands targeting an EBITDA of $2 billion from Marina Bay Sands. And I think this is just indicative of the fact that any entity anywhere with exposure to Asia or exposure to Macau, if it has properties elsewhere in Asia, it's focusing on them and relying on them. I mean, Melco, the profit from City of Dreams Manila has been a little bit propping up Macau. Of course, it can't cover the loss in Macau, but it's been helpful. We see City of Dreams Mediterranean, them pushing on with that. And here we see Sands saying, look, let's focus on our property in Singapore and throw off some cash from that to cover what we're losing in Macau. So they were the 5 lead stories, and a few honorable mentions, a few other stories I picked out. Sands loss in Q3 this year, 472 million US. Ouch, that's a lot. $500 million essentially. And we were saying that all 6 of them put together are losing between $500 and $1 billion per quarter collectively. But there's Sands on its own losing $500 million. I mean, it was a terrible quarter. And of course, you'd expect it to get a bit better than that now that the borders open a bit more to mainlanders. But still, what a staggering number. What else? Oh, Genting Malaysia, bid accepted. I should say application accepted. Some people called me after that happened and said, oh, does that mean that they've got a license? No. Their application was accepted conditionally, and now it's accepted unconditionally. So whatever the slight problem, technical problem, no doubt, that they had has been rectified, and the government says you're on an equal footing with the other 6 now. So it will be fascinating to see what happens. On Monday, we published a story about Star Entertainment losing its license in Sydney and we will publish another story about them being fined 100 million Australian dollars for anti-money laundering fines. So Star Entertainment in Australia, wow, are they in trouble? So they have a special manager now who is running the property for them, and the regulator has said it remains to be seen whether they can redeem themselves. So wow, that's the worst thing that can happen as an IR operator. So that's pretty devastating for them, even worse than what happened to Crown. And finally, the last one I picked out on Saturday, we did a story where an academic in Macau said that the Macau government was out of touch with reality in the demands that it's making from the concessionaires. Well, all I can say about that is I agree wholeheartedly. And that's on the run for this week. A little bit of a shorter one for you this week. Off to Manila tomorrow, and I will see you next week, next Friday, from the lovely city of Manila. See you then. Have a great week. Bye for now.
Run.